This special meeting was called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. Notices of this meeting were sent to the appropriate publications. In addition, copies of notices were posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building and filed in the office of the borough clerk on the aforementioned days. Notices on the bulletin board have remained continuously posted. Proper notice having been given to the borough clerk is directed to include this statement in the minutes for this meeting. Minutes of this meeting should also reflect the purpose for which this meeting is called. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yakubo.
Here.
Councilman Hokinson.
Here.
Councilman Casais.
Here.
Councilwoman Story. Here. Councilman Kelly.
Here.
Councilman Elmarasi.
Here.
And Mayor Hardy.
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'd ask everybody to please stand. Madam Clerk, please lead us in the prayer and the pledge of allegiance.
Eternal God, grant us thy help in all our duties and all our perplexities. We ask for thy guidance. Give us thy protection in all our dangers and all our sorrows. Grant us thy peace. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The purpose of this meeting is our year-end wrap-up meeting. We do this every year in order to make sure if there are any loose ends, they get tied up before the end of the year. In this case, it's a very limited agenda because most of the financial items were dealt with at the last regular meeting. For the report and recommendation of Mayor, the only thing I'd like to point out is I provided everybody with a copy of a sign that I'm interested in donating to the borough to be placed outside of Borough Hall. But before I expend the money to have that sign built, I want to make sure that the town is willing to accept it. So as part of tonight's agenda, I would ask for a resolution 262-14 to be passed, approving the acceptance of this sign to be kept in perpetuity in its original condition on the grounds of Borough Hall, where the current sign is located. To be installed by DPW upon receipt, and I'll bring that up again later. I believe that we need to go into the public comment portion of the meeting before we move on. So if I can hear a motion to go into the public comment portion.
I make the motion to go to public. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Anyone wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what you want. Who's on the line?
Jacob McGarrett, 612 Sheridan Avenue, Roselle Park. Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, viewing audience, members of council, good evening. Do I keep it as this comment for this meeting, or can I bring up something from the past meeting?
I suppose you can bring up stuff from past meetings because it is a public comment.
Okay. The last meeting, we discussed the polling places. In 1989, the polling place for the second ward was Sherman School. Due to the fact of ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, it was brought here to the Borough Hall. So there's a big distance. And it was here for 1 or 2 years, two years, and then it went to the library. So when my comment was about at Aldine School, I said Aldine Park last week. At Aldine Park School would go down to the Church of the Assumption, and middle school would go down to Methodist Church. There was handicap access, so shouldn't be a problem with the election board, I don't think.
Well, I recommend you bring it up with the election board then, because they're the ones that make the determination what the polling places are based on a whole bunch of criteria as we discussed.
I'm not the borough clerk, so she would have to do that. And we'll take it from there. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell your time to vote.
Saul Kears, 150 Berwyn Street. I guess in reviewing the report, the audit report, there was a notice of failure to file annual reports, and I guess it was rectified in 2014, but for, looks like 2010, 11, 12, and 13, I suppose the annual report was not filed to this.
I'm not sure what exactly you're referring to.
It was actually part of the audit report, and it was presented by, Gibbons, PC. And it was in the report, so I guess I thought the CFO would be here, but I guess I'll ask at the next meeting.
Could I just, since we talked about this,
Yeah.
unfortunately Ken's actually out, he's got a family emergency. Do you have copies of that?
I do.
Could you leave it for
Yeah, I will.
And don't worry,
'Cause I just-
leave it in his office?
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to know, because it looks like it was rectified. It did show that on October 28th, the admitted tables were on the outstanding, the tables for the outstanding bonds was included, so that was rectified. I just,
It might be the bond schedule, truthfully, I don't know, and I know.
I mean, if he's, I mean, I don't, he would be in the one, but
Was that the bond, or was that the problem with the recreation department?
no, this was separate.
Gibbons would give comment on a bond, so it probably has something to do with the bond schedule. The audit is separate.
I think it was because
might
it
be
referred to
audit or
the
bonds.
debt service requirements for the outstanding bonds.
Bonds.
I'll just leave it with. And I was reviewing the proposal for the town revow, and just out of curiosity, there's 20 exempt properties that are listed as miscellaneous. Well, just curious, because it separates farm, which we have none, public schools, public property, charitable, and then miscellaneous. Does anyone know what?
Government buildings?
No, because it does say public property, and then there's vacant land. I guess they would know. Or maybe Ms. Scaglione would know. And then I was reading the $90 an hour rate. But there's a $1,000, is that a filing fee? The report preparation, or fee per report, it's $1,000. So I guess that needs to be included because it goes up as the properties go up. And then, again, Mr. Ball isn't here, but my question was going to be, and I don't know if I asked this and got the answer last time, any appeals? Do we know, will the money be taken from the remainder of that 500,000? Like if for some reason people are appealing, and we need to pay them, do we pay them again from a general fund, from a reserved fund for this occasion? Will it be included in next year's budget, like it was for this year?
We would anticipate that for the next 2 years, there will still be some issues that we've been facing for a long, long time. And it certainly is something that needs to be addressed as part of the budgetary process. Then once the reval is completed, then those appeals should stop pretty much dead in their tracks, we would hope, going forward for at least a period of 3 or 4 years. So, it's something that's going to have to be accounted for in the budget, and we account for in the budget now.
But again, the question was, so suppose someone appeals and they take care of it for that $90 an hour fee. Does that $90 an hour fee, will there be a pre-approved budget for that?
I believe the $90 an hour fee are for state board judgments.
Right.
They're for state appeals.
Right.
These wouldn't audit, not all of the appeals that could potentially happen after the revow
Right.
go to the state. The ones that would go to the state would be the ones that are currently on our books now, and the ones that are higher. I believe it's over $1 million. The assessment's over $1 million. So that fee wouldn't necessarily be assessed on every single.
No,
But
it
to
is.
answer your other question, the balance.
Correct, like suppose it ends up being,
That money,
$40,000.
the $500,000 will be held in the event that we need to do a change order on the amount of contract that was awarded, like every other contract.
okay,
So if you have, say, there's a change order and we need to add or subtract $2,000 from the base amount awarded, that can be done.
so that 500,000 will not be going back into the general fund until I guess the reval is completed,
It-
and the appeal process.
I had this conversation with Ken yesterday, and he said that since we're projecting that the reval should be completed by the end of next year, the money would be canceled and it would go back into surplus. It would go back into their respective accounts at the end of next year.
So that in 2016, so suppose someone appeals, whatever, and it turns out that a fee is applied, is another kind of budgetary fund amount put in case of those appeals, or will it just be taken out of a general fund? In other words, will
I'd
it
have to really go over the proposal. But I think the company should be covering some of the appeals, and I believe it's the local appeals. I think the higher up, the state appeals,
right?
I don't have it in front of me, and truthfully, I haven't read the proposal that closely enough to tell you,
And just
to quote it right now. But
all right. And then my just other question is, during the process, is there something that freezes appeals, or can people just appeal while the reval is going on? Does anyone know that answer?
We can certainly continue with the appeals process, but hopefully there'll be a amenable resolution because it'll be clear what the taxable amount should have been by the time the process is completed.
Because the deadline's in April, right?
That's right.
So I guess this April will be whomever is from now until then. But then in 2016, I guess there shouldn't be basically any.
well, and there's also the regular appeals procedure. I apologize, but there's the regular appeals procedure where you can't continue to file for an appeal year after year after year. There's a certain amount of time, what that time is.
You can actually do it. It's 2 years that the municipality can't, correct? But the person can do it year after year after year.
You can't do it the year right after.
I mean,
I'm almost sure that you can't do it.
that's fine. I mean, but I just need to know, I guess, that process. So there's nothing to stop someone from, in May of 2015, putting in an appeal and having it heard. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind.
Mayor, seeing no one coming forward, at this time I request that we close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Public portion is now closed. I will entertain a motion in a second on the motion, I'm sorry, bills and payments.
I'd like to make a motion that the bills and payrolls not be read. Ask for payment.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yucco?
Yes.
Councilman Wilkinson?
Yes.
Councilman Size?
Yes.
Councilwoman Story? Yes. Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
And Councilman El Morasi.
Yes.
Six votes in the affirmative.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
The neighbor.
Bills and payments, everybody. I believe that we have one resolution on the agenda, plus one resolution that I have added. Madam Clerk, can you please read resolution 261-124?
Is canceling small tax balances for 2014.
I'll entertain a motion.
I made a motion for ordinance resolution 261-14.
Second.
This is a consent agenda. Does anybody wish to remove it from the consent agenda? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yucco?
Yes.
Councilman Wilkinson?
Yes.
Councilman Size?
Yes.
Councilwoman Story? Yes. Councilman
And the
Kelly?
yes.
And Councilman El Morasi.
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. 261-14 is hereby approved. Are there any items for referral to council committee? Are there any items for closed session? Okay, And the last item would be the subject of Resolution 262-14, if you all are willing to accept it. I've asked the Borough Clerk to shop around and see if we could find an appropriate sign for the front of the building. For those of you who don't know, what I've done with my salary since I've been on council as mayor is I've been putting it into an account, and I then donate that money to different causes, mostly in town and other causes as well. And in the account, there's a balance of approximately $1,000 that I have not donated. This sign has a price tag somewhat north of that. So what I'd like to do is, before I spend that kind of money on the sign, I want to make sure that council approves it and that it will remain in front of the borough complex in its designed manner and maintained properly for the lifetime of the sign. So I would ask you all to consider that as my gift to the community on my way out as the mayor. The sign will be the same as the other signs that you see in town, such as the Michael Morey Park in Roselle Park's colors. The lettering is gold leaf where you see the yellow, and it's engraved or stamped in the other locations, including the shield of the borough. So if everybody will please take a look at that, and then I hope I can get a motion on ordinance 262-14 permitting the acceptance of the sign as a donation to the community to be placed in the location of the current municipal complex sign in the front of the parking lot at 110 East Westfield Avenue for the lifetime of the sign to be maintained by the borough and installed by the borough.
Make a motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments about resolution 262-14? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yurkovich.
Yes.
Councilman Hoganson.
Yes.
Councilman Messias.
Yes.
Councilwoman Story.
Yes.
Councilman Kelly.
Yes.
And Councilman El Marassi.
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Resolution 262-14 is hereby.
And just one statement, it's just going to go a little bit to the left because that sign got hit once or twice, so it's going to go in between the 2 trees. So hopefully it won't get hit this time. And the actual cost is $1,650.
Are there any other items for discussion this evening? Motion to close.
I make a motion that we close the meeting.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Happy New Year.